All right, let's jump right into this explainer on AI-powered terminal and CLI workflows. We need to talk about something we all share, but, we rarely actually admit to. I'm talking about that trusty, kind of embarrassing little cheat sheet of terminal commands pinned right to the side of your monitor. Come on, you know the exact one I mean. It's got the syntax for extracting that third column, maybe some nested JSON filters, or just that one incredibly specific command you literally can never remember to get a shell inside a running container. Trust me, we have all been there.
So today we're tackling a totally universal developer struggle. Why on earth can we never, ever remember the exact syntax for tools like awk, find, or JQ? I mean, think about it. We've typed them hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Yet every few days, what do? We look up from our code, squint at that sticky note, and retype a command we just used last Tuesday, wondering why it simply refuses to stick in our long-term memory.
Honestly, that perfectly illustrates the core problem here. On one side of the equation, you have your human intent. It's usually something super simple, like, hey, find all files modified in the last hour that contain this specific string, right? But on the other side, you've got the arcane, rigid syntax required to actually pull it off. The command line is notoriously unforgiving. Miss a single dash, get your quote slightly wrong, or mess up the argument order, boom, it's an error. Or actually even worse, it fails silently and spits out the completely wrong result. So the absolutely crucial point we need to hit is this. The terminal is basically an interactive programming language. And AI? Well, AI is literally perfectly suited to translate your plain English intent into that precise, unforgiving syntax. We're not talking about some massive, traumatic, career-altering shift here. No, it's about taking a mundane task that usually eats up a 10-minute man-page reading session or, a deep dive into the depths of Stack Overflow and turning it into a seamless 10-second interaction.
Okay, let's open up our playbook. We are going to build a really high ROI habit using a quick 5-step workflow, describing goals, building pipelines, explaining scripts, transforming data, and debugging Git. Once you actually adopt this workflow, you're going to find yourself having these constant little, wow, I just saved 5 minutes moments. And let me tell you, those add up to a massive chunk of time by the end of your week.
Let's kick things off with step 1. The golden rule here is describe what you want, not how to do it. So instead of fighting with find flags for 5 minutes, trying to remember exactly how the modified time and size flags play together, just tell your AI. Literally type, find all Python files larger than 1 MB that were modified this week. You're just handing the AI your end goal.
Now, when you do that, the AI is typically going to hand you back 2 distinct commands. First up, you'll get a read-only verification command. This lets you safely double-check exactly what files it's targeting. After that comes the actual execution command. Doing it this way saves you the absolute headache of testing date formats or blindly debugging flags. You just verify your target list, and then boom, you execute the action. It's insanely efficient.
That brings us right into step 2 for complex pipelines and step 3 for command explanations. Because here's the thing, AI works perfectly in reverse too. Have you ever stumbled across a script in a runbook written by some senior sysadmin who apparently dreams in regular expressions? Yeah, instead of agonizingly decoding it character by character, you just ask, hey, what does this command actually do? The AI will instantly break down that massive one-liner, explaining every single pipe and flag so you can actually understand it, and more importantly, modify it safely.
Moving right along to step 4, we've got data transformations. As engineers, we are constantly shuttling data between formats. You know the drill. JSON to CSV, YAML to structured logs, the whole shebang. Normally, this means kissing 30 minutes goodbye while you boot up Python, write a custom parsing script, realize you're missing a library, install it, stumble on an edge case, and fix it. Well, scratch all that. Now, you just describe the exact transformation to your AI assistant, and it hands you a flawless one-line command in seconds. It totally tames the absolute tedium of one-off data wrangling.
Step 5 tackles the tool we basically all use the most, but honestly often understand the least, Git. Now, standard committing and pushing, totally fine. But complex operations like an interactive rebase, a hard reset, or a force push, those can be highly destructive. So whenever you're leaning on AI for complex Git syntax, make it a habit to always ask, what happens if this goes wrong? You absolutely must ensure the action is reversible before you just blindly smash that enter key.
To actually pull this off, you do need the right tools. We're talking things like Claude Code, GitHub Copilot in the terminal, or Warp. But here is the real secret sauce. The specific tool you happen to choose matters way less than building the habit itself. The main advantage here is raw speed.
By utilizing these built-in terminal tools, you're keeping AI instantly accessible without ever breaking your flow to tab over to a browser window.
But hey, let's be real, it's not all pure magic. There are definitely a few key pitfalls you've got to watch out for. First off, never, ever blindly trust destructive commands. Just don't do it. Second, keep platform differences in mind. Syntax and date flags can vary wildly between macOS and Linux, so definitely mention your OS to save yourself a frustrating round trip. Third, keep an eagle eye out for subtly wrong logic. For instance, an AI might hand you a command that counts the unique lines containing IP addresses instead of counting the unique IP addresses themselves. Always spot check the output. Oh, and finally, don't overuse AI for the basic stuff. If you know how to list your files, just type it.
Which naturally brings us to the ultimate safety rule for this whole workflow. Read every single command before running it. I cannot stress this enough. No matter how incredibly accurate the AI has been for your last 20 interactions, do not get complacent when you're moving fast. For any kind of destructive operation, always run a read-only version first. Use a list command instead of a remove command, or a select statement instead of a delete. Verify your target, and only then do you pull the trigger.
So why do we go through the trouble of changing how we work? Just look at the numbers. If you actually follow this playbook, you will easily shave off 5 to 15 minutes per complex command. When you're running those gnarly pipelines or weird data transformations dozens of times a week, that time savings is absolutely massive. It is a continuous compounding return on your productivity.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to glance over at that little sticky note on your monitor one last time. Think about the workflow we mapped out today. If the real productivity gain is locked up in the habit itself, what complex, totally dreaded command are you going to delegate to AI today? Are you finally ready to tear that old cheat sheet down and start typing your intent instead of your syntax? Thanks for joining me today. Now go get back to those terminals and start building that habit.